Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy week 4 of our 30-day challenge to build your one-page marketing plan. Woohoo! I know that that's not as exciting to everyone as it is to me, and it can sometimes feel like a lot of work. But for those of you that have been on this journey for the last 3 weeks, um, I hope that you're finding that it's not as stressful or consuming or out of reach as you might have initially thought. So I only hope that we're able to share in this Unmarket Your Business group some tips and tricks for marketing that have taken Carol and I a couple of decades to acquire, and we've distilled them down and made them something that hopefully is understandable and accessible to everyone, no matter what your core business is. So very excited to be here, and definitely going to do this week a little bit differently. So we have done a tremendous amount in the last 3 weeks. So if you're joining us for the first time, that might seem like you've missed a lot. You have, but don't worry, because you can catch up, because the videos from weeks 1, 2, and 3 are all here for a limited time. Carol will let you know how long the videos are actually going to stay up, but don't dawdle. If you're interested in doing this, they're roughly about 45 minutes a piece, and they are full of information. So I'm going to reintroduce myself here. I am Stacy Ruth. I am a entrepreneur, 25 years of experience in marketing and running a business. I am an advocate for small businesses, solopreneurs, and what I like to call soulpreneurs, S-O-U-L. And you will see in the comments up at the top, you'll see that I have a link to my Facebook group that everyone who's participating here is also invited to join. It's called the Solopreneur Project, and it's very much focused on businesses that are conscious businesses that are really trying to incorporate spiritual practices and values into their day-to-day operations. So very excited to help individuals who are spiritually minded have successful businesses. And let's see, each week what I've done is review a little bit of where we've been. And I'm going to do that in about 2 minutes here. I'm going to let you know that what you have kind of pinned at the top of this page, or at the top of this group's page, is this document. And inside is your marketing plan foundation over here, which we have covered in weeks 1 and 2. And we have started in actually putting it into action. Your 90-day plan, putting it into action, is on the other side. And we are all the way down to your action steps this week. So what I'm going to do this week is talk a little bit about the action steps, how to choose your action steps, what action steps look like, why we have in the action steps kind of a scale of difficulty and time frame to avoid overwhelm. And then, so we're going to do that like 15 minutes or so. So this will be a quick one if all you want is the rest of the syllabus for the week. So we're going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the comments that I've been hearing from folks that have been participating in this about overwhelm, about the sense of kind of exposure, when you get really authentic with your clients in some of the ways that we've been talking about, and also about how small businesses can struggle with their own marketing. And then in the last section, I'm going to provide some additional tools and a little giveaway opportunity for folks at the end of this, so that you don't feel like at the end we're just sort of dropping you out there and saying, okay, good luck. So follow through is very important when you're doing something like this, just like it would with any other 30-day plan that you're going to do. So, so the quick review is that we have, in the first 3 of these, we have talked about developing your mission, talking about what your clients struggle with on a daily basis, what their pains are, how to find out what your clients struggle with if you aren't entirely sure, you're just kind of guessing. We talked about defining the demographics of your ideal customer. We did that fun part where we did the math about what you are currently making, what you want to be making, what a client's worth to you, and really building a formula for growing your business using those numbers. We developed a goal, a strategy. We looked at priorities. We looked at the things that stand in the way of us doing our priorities, both our mindset and actual situations that can get in our way, and how to work through those. We developed a marketing message, how you're going to kind of talk about yourself out in the world. We talked about where to tell it and how often to talk to people about your marketing message, and what you want your audience to do as a result. So that's a lot of territory to cover, and it is in pretty much any marketing plan and strategy that you can imagine. Now, here's what's interesting. That's the end of the review, by the way. You can go back and watch the video, so there you go. But the thing that is really fascinating is the very last thing that we are doing in this, lights, camera, action, is these action steps. Well, here's the interesting part. That's where most people start. I cannot tell you the number of clients that have come to me, good morning, Carol, that have come to me, and the first thing that they want is a logo, and then they want a website. Oh yeah, maybe a business card. And that's kind of the order in which it's asked. And then they're like, and then what do I do? Maybe they want a trifold. They might think about that. And if that sounds like you, that's okay. You're in the majority. But that is the last part of the puzzle, not the place to start. And so the reason that we have action steps at the end is because the action steps are going to move you towards that goal. They're going to move you towards the math equation that you've already determined. And so if you decide that you want to jump, as we talked about, from $1,000 a month to $5,000 a month, these action steps are what are going to move you in that direction. So it's really, really important that you know where you want to go before you start moving in a direction. Doesn't mean that, in that, I call it the ready, fire, aim approach. It doesn't mean that if you use the ready, fire, aim approach that you might not hit something. In fact, you might. The only problem is you won't know why, and you won't be able to necessarily repeat it because you don't know why. So this is a very clear path to success. And the reason that many people believe that marketing doesn't work or it doesn't live up to its promise is because they actually are not doing the strategy, the goal, the objectives. They're not thinking about who they're talking to, and they're not thinking about what they really need. They're more focused on what they want to tell them. And they jump right past what the person wants to hear, what the client wants to hear. And they move right into, what kind of logo am I going to have? And that just isn't that successful, and then they blame marketing. So hopefully that kind of clarifies why this is the absolute last thing that we're going to do. So when we talk about priorities, depending on who it is that is really, what do you do, right? What are you a speaker? Are you a graphic designer? Are you a technical person? Are you a real estate agent? Who is it that that you are representing? It really is going to drive a lot of what you need from a marketing tactical action step standpoint. So I'm not going to, in any way, shape, or form, suggest that it's a one size fits all. I worked very closely with an SEO executive of SEO Nation and learned a tremendous amount about SEO. And, we had a very candid conversation about, does everyone need a website? And the answer is most people do, but not necessarily everybody. It just depends. And that's true of every kind of marketing. I used to think everyone needed a business card, and there may have been a time when everyone didn't need a business card, but it depends. So it's really something that you have to look at why you want it before you decide you want it. I mean, if you've got the money to spend and you've got the ego tied up in it and you want to run an ad, and great, do it. But I'm always going to ask you, why? And that's something that it's on every business owner to ask themselves, what do I expect to get as a result of any marketing initiative? And candidly, part of it is going to be being realistic. And part of it is going to be just asking yourself the question in the first place. So an example is, a lot of people feel that if they put themselves out on Facebook, suddenly people are going to be beating down a door, beating a path to the door, I suppose I should say, beating down a path to their door. And that's not always necessarily the case, because they haven't done the work to know if the people that are buying from them are there, if they're addressing their pain, if they're speaking in a language that is appealing, all of those things, right? So that's what falls into your action steps. Now that you know who your clients are, now that you know what pain you solve, now that you know where they're hanging out, and you know what you need to tell them that is going to really connect with them and let them feel seen and heard, great, now we can take action steps. So for example, an action step for you might be to be seen in a number of networking situations. That's especially valuable for someone who is a financial consultant or a business coach or a speaker. There's a banker. There's a tremendous number of people that, you just got to kind of get to know these people as an individual and build trust with them. Live is a great way to do that. And so that's someplace where you're going to put in your action steps. I'm going to join this organization, and I'm going to do it by this time frame. And I'm going to commit to show up and be involved in that organization for enough of a time frame to create some traction to see if there's results there. And the important part of this is knowing how much time you need to commit to it, and understanding how much time you have to put in the rest of your business, of course, and how long you're going to give it for success that's realistic. So all of those things are important. And then it's also the ability to kind of layer the things that you're going to be doing. So if you're doing emails and you're getting the email addresses from your networking, there's a layer for you. And to be able to consistently, in your action steps, continue to reach out. Consistency is crucial in anything that you're going to do for any period of time. You have to be consistent about it. Otherwise, you lose the momentum that you had, you lose the visibility that you had, and people actually will forget about you. So you have to start all over again if you're not consistent. So consistency is very important. And it's also important as business owners We wear a lot of hats, and that means that we get overwhelmed. And if you're like me, and I know there's a few people who are like me, tend to take on perhaps more than you can do in a day. And so I've had to be very mindful about the types of projects that I can take on and how large of a project I can take on at any given time. So that's why I have, without hitting the light, that's why we have these difficulty levels. Because if you put everything at a high difficulty level, it's got a lot of moving pieces and parts, like let's say building a website. If everything is as complicated as getting a website launched, and by the way, Carol does great websites. So if you're doing a website and everything else is as complicated as that, you're going to bring yourself to a grinding halt. You're going to become overwhelmed. You're going to become discouraged, and you're going to stop. And that's what we don't want to have happen. So you need, there's an organization that talks about tiny wins. You're going to need some tiny wins to keep you pumped, to keep you motivated. And if a tiny win is going to a luncheon and meeting two people that either are clients or might know someone who could be a client, and you can walk away feeling good about having connected and having momentum, that's a tiny win. Go for it. And that is an hour and a half well spent. So those are the kinds of things that I want you to think about in your difficulty level. And I also want you to think about the time frame level. If you're trying to move the needle, and you're trying to move the needle quickly, if everything has a longer time frame, and you get to decide what a longer time frame is. Like for me, spending a year getting professional speaker certification is a long time frame, but it's important to me to be able to bill at a higher rate, to have greater credibility, to have better knowledge about how to run my business. It's got a tremendous number of benefits, right? So if I'm going to do that, then that's a long time frame. Everything can't have a long time frame, or I'm not going to get anywhere. So other things have shorter time frames, like doing a weekly blog and dedicating the time to that, which is something that in that consistency realm is something that I'm recommitting to. And if I'm recommitting to it, I have to really commit to it. Okay. So that's really all I need to say, I believe, about the action steps, because the action steps are really the tactics, and they're really going to be different for each and every one of us. So that's really, really important. If anyone along the way, I mean, this video is going to be live for Carol, you're on. How long will we have the videos live in the group? So while the videos are live, if you want to ask questions or make comments about the tactics, about these action steps, we're happy to give you insight and feedback on what it is you're trying to do. You'll also notice that there's only 10 blanks there. Obviously, we're not trying to get into the weeds of if you're doing a website, picking a template, is it going to be WordPress? Website is enough for this. And so it helps you not get lost in the weeds. But other than that, forever. I love forever. Okay, great. I love infinite possibility. So that's wonderful. Great. So at any time, Carol and I will be happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay. So we're here for you. But now, speaking of questions you might have, I know I had a couple of people kind of pull me aside about halfway through and said, "Oh, I haven't done my homework yet." So, we all are doing a million things, juggling a million things. We're all, trying to get numerous things moving at the same time. And that's why I really want to talk to you about the overwhelm. Marketing is, I'm going to sound like I'm beating my own drum here. Marketing is the single most important activity any business can do in order to grow. There, I said it. That's it. If you're not able to allocate the time to do the marketing yourself, get someone to do the marketing for you. But whatever you do, do the marketing. If you aren't doing the marketing, you are stunting your business's growth. And you may say to me, well, Stacy, it's not that important that I make a ton of money and I'm okay where I am. And that is absolutely fine. You still need to market. Why would I say that? Why would I say that you still need to market if you're perfectly fine? Because if you're not growing, your business is dying. You may not see it right now, but if you're not doing something to actively cultivate it, the proverbial weeds are growing and it will choke your business. So it might be just talking to someone for referrals. It might be just showing up at a networking event. It might be just making sure that your website is current. But whatever it is, don't just coast. If you're just coasting in your business, I would also ask you the question, have you lost your passion? You may say no, and that's fine, but you're going to ultimately, if you're not doing something to grow yourself. Growing a business is like nurturing a child. It's like growing a garden. It requires active participation, and marketing is active participation in your business. So with that said, how do you deal with the overwhelm? If you're a solopreneur, if you're a individual business owner, you're going to be wearing a tremendous number of hats. And if you're wearing that many hats, then it can be very easy to overlook a goal, an objective for what's right in your face right now of I've got to pay this bill, or I've got to complete this project, or I've got to something, right? And the challenge is going to be to recognize that you need that buffer before it becomes a crisis. And that's a business coaching, idea, but it's very important to make the space for the marketing. So, marketing doesn't exist in a vacuum, and you just don't suddenly wake up and go, okay, today I'm going to just do marketing. You can certainly allocate that in your calendar, but to be able to do this, to be able to commit to this challenge, to be able to see the results, you have to show up for it. And if you continue to push it off, it's like, pushing off, I need to lose 40 pounds, then it's just not going to work. And then we're back to, well, marketing doesn't work. Well, it works if you work it, and that's about it. So it's very important not to lose the sense of urgency, not crisis, but urgency to invest in yourself. If you don't do it now, you push yourself into a crisis point, and that's where it becomes a problem. Okay, so we beat that horse to death. You get the idea. So the next thing that I really want to cover is that as someone who is participating in this 30-day challenge, you probably have hit a bump or two, a point of confusion or two, and often that can stop us. So when we feel like I'm just not up to this, I don't know where to go next, I don't want to bother Stacy, I don't want to bother Carol, I don't know what to do, I'll just quit. And that is exactly when you need to be asking for help. So that is why what we're going to be doing here as a kind of a next step in this 30-day challenge is creating a safe space because social media isn't always a safe space, especially when you're talking about your business. We get that, right? So, it's a great way to brainstorm, but it might not be where you really want to kind of put it all out there. So, so we're going to create a safe space for you to, address the challenges you might have, maybe to go a little deeper, maybe to talk a little bit about the business as well as the marketing. So kind of looking at the totality of the business, where you're spending your time. In fact, like Sharonda last week asked a question about procrastination. And it was really interesting because what she found as a result, I gave her a way to kind of focus more on being than doing in the business so that she could get some perspective. And when she got the perspective, what she realized was that it really wasn't her procrastinating. It was her recognition that she wasn't actually working with her ideal customer. Now that is a breakthrough. So those are the kinds of breakthroughs that we really want to help facilitate, but it often takes a perspective other than our own. And that's the importance of not trying to do this alone. Social media can also kind of isolate us sometimes. It can create a group like this, which is wonderful, but it also can make us feel a little isolated when people aren't sharing their stuff. They're just sharing, what we want the world to see. So working one-on-one with someone is great. And that's why I want to offer to anyone and everyone who is participating in this, who wants to invest back in their business, who wants to invest back in the growth of the business, invest in their marketing, that I have a business coaching with an emphasis on marketing and marketing strategy plan that I work with a number of individuals, several of whom have participated here, which is fantastic. So I want to offer that to the group. And what I do is I work with individuals in a 90-day increment. And I have a monthly subscription, basically. You get unlimited calling, one-on-one time with me. You get 4 sessions a month that are 1 hour in length. And I also have a 90-minute kind of get to know each other session as the first session. And then we work through 90 days. Now, 90 days, that's interesting because let's look at that. I have a 90-day plan. I do 90 days of coaching. What is this 90-day thing? It's actually been proven that 90 days is what it really takes. And, they say 30 days to change a habit. No, not really. What it really takes is 90 days of doing it differently with conscious focus in order to be able to have that breakthrough shift, in order to create that transformation. And so I work with people in 90-day increments, and I charge monthly, and my normal fee monthly is $800 a month. And you may say, oh my goodness, I really would love to do that, but that sounds like an awful lot right now for me to do to invest in my business. And I get it. It just depends on where you are in your business. So what I'm going to do for this group, and only for this group, so when you reach out to me, you're going to have to reference Unmarket Your Business in order for me to give you this discount, is going to be to do it for half price. You get 90 days at $400 a month with unlimited touch base calling or emailing. I'm working on this proposal for a client. What do I say here? We'll work through it. Okay. So you get that kind of support for $400 a month. I mean, what is a client worth to you? Think about that. So that is one offer that I'm going to put out there for the group to really help you jumpstart this. Is so important. The second offer that I'm going to make, if you're even still struggling to feel like you have the resources to invest in that level of support and guidance, and you may not even feel like you need that level of support and guidance, that's fine. The other suggestion that I have for those of you that are farther ahead but just need a little bit of, someone kind of, I hear this. This is what it feels like you're saying to me. You might want to tweak this. Oh, you've got this challenge. I've got that challenge too, is my mastermind group. And the mastermind group is also a part of the coaching. So if you're doing the coaching, you get to participate in the mastermind group, or you can just do the mastermind group. So the mastermind group is an included added benefit in the 90-day coaching plan. And it also can be a standalone. It is a $1,200 value for those in the group. If you're buying it as a standalone, it's $2,500 a year. If you're buying it through the group as a standalone, it's less than half off. I mean, it's whatever. it's not quite up to half of that, which is $1,200. So from the group, just to be clear, you can buy a year of mastermind participation for $1,200. If you buy the coaching, you get the mastermind included in the group. So for 90 days, $1,200, you get the coaching and the mastermind group. I mean, that's a deal. And so in the mastermind group, we allow ourselves in a small group to talk about the challenges that we're having. The group is supporting, holding accountability, holding space, and really helping each other work through their businesses. So it's a group mentoring, if you will. If you've never participated in a mastermind, they're hugely powerful. I facilitate, we do it once a month. So that is a $100 a month if you're looking at it from that standpoint. What I'm going to invite anyone who wants to participate in any of these opportunities is there is a link to my Facebook group, the Solopreneur Project, in the top of this comment section. And so I'm going to invite you to ask to join. There are some basic questions that you'll answer to join that group. And in there, if you will just mention unmarket your business in any one of the question answers, it doesn't matter. Just mention unmarket your business, and I'll know that that's what you're reaching out for. Okay. So that's the offers that we have to kind of help you keep the momentum going. You certainly can do this on your own. The challenge is, and I'm saving the freebie for last. That'll be a nice little free gift for anyone who's participating in this, whether you join the group or the mastermind. I mean, join the coaching or the mastermind. But here's the thing that small businesses, I think it's like 75% of small businesses do their own marketing. And about, I think it was something like 65% of small businesses are dissatisfied with their marketing. And it's almost 1-to-1 that those that are dissatisfied with their marketing are doing their own. And when they drilled down further in this research study, and I'll have to go find the source of it, but it was a university that was doing the research. And the drill down was that ultimately they just didn't have the time to dedicate to it. So they weren't really doing their own marketing. And that's where I think most businesses find themselves. So I've said this all along, and I applaud everyone who's participating in this 30-day challenge, is that what it really takes is a desire to begin. And if you will hold yourself accountable, then you don't need business coaching. If you will hold yourself accountable, you don't need a mastermind group. You just need to do the challenge. However, if you find yourself stuck, or for some reason you just set it aside and say, no, that's fine, then you probably need support to keep you moving. So the businesses that are the most satisfied are the businesses that are letting someone else do the marketing where they weren't willing to, or they weren't willing to find the time to. So I'm just, I can't say enough about the importance of really committing to your marketing. And that we've done everything we can here in this free forum to give you the tools to do this yourself. So now it's up to you to decide if you really will. And if you won't, be honest with yourself, then please reach out and get some assistance. It's that important for the growth of your business. It's just vital. So in closing, I would love to say that what we are also going to do for members of the group, and this one also, if you would, I don't necessarily want to ask people to drop their emails in the comments section. So I'll tell you what, if you would like the free gift, and the free gift is, I have 3 things for you. The first thing is a 90-minute breakthrough session. If you're finding yourself stuck, I will do a free one-on-one 90-minute breakthrough call with you to help you identify where you're stuck and develop a solution right there on the call. I have yet to do one of these calls where we don't break through. It's just a willingness thing and the ability to get perspective. So you'll get a free 90-minute breakthrough call. The second freebie is that I have a wonderful notebook, The Adventure Begins, and I would be happy to send that to you free. And then I also have a deck of their spiritual laws for business to ignite your business. And each one of them has a business affirmation in there for you. I know it's not the intensely tactical that we've been doing here, strategic and tactical. It's very spiritual in nature, but it's very important for successful business as well. So if you're interested in getting your free gift, again, I'm going to encourage you to go to the Solopreneur Project, mention Unmarket Your Business, private setting, so that you're not putting it out there on social media. So so that's what we have here in conclusion is this is really just the beginning of investing in yourself and investing in your business. And yes, you can do this. Yes, you can do this yourself. Yes, it really is that easy. But also, if you haven't done it before, it also can have some kind of blind spots. And both Carol and I are more than happy to help you move through those. And I know that Carol and I are also very happy if it comes to deliverables, when we're really getting into the tactics, when you're talking about websites, when you're talking about blog posting, when you're talking about social media posting, when you're talking about what your brand looks like. We're both very adept at helping you do that. And I certainly encourage you for those kinds of things to reach out to Carol first. And, if it calls for any of the specialization that I do, that's fantastic too. So please, please, please watch the videos, download the files, think about, be real about how much of this you're going to be able to do yourself, given whatever else you have to do in a day. But know that you have a support network here for you in Unmarket Your Business. Thanks for participating.